Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Man Down Podcast. This is episode 88 for us. I get to sit down and talk with my great friend Eric Hicks, but also interview Cincinnati Bearcat great Corie Blount. He had an 11-year professional career where he played with the likes of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Nick Van Exel. He was also a teammate of Nick Van Exel's at Cincinnati. Got drafted 25th overall by the Chicago Bulls. You're going to love his perspective on everything when I get to asking him questions specifically about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I love everything he had to say, man. Thank you for listening to this again, and give me feedback. Let us know how this interview went. Thank you. All right, Corie Blount, I appreciate you doing this, sitting down with me to talk some basketball. But before we even get to that, man, you from LA, right? LA wasn't easy to come up in. It was tough. How did you get through that? And then what got you started into playing ball and all that stuff?
Well, for me, it was just a journey based on my environment, man. You know, especially during my teenage years. You know, I was raised by my great grandmother, so you know, she could only do so much for a young man. I never brought anything back to the house to disrespect her, but, you know, when I was out in the streets with my homeboys, you know, when things happen, it just happened. And I was sometimes able to get caught up in some of that stuff, man. You know, I grew up, teenage years was the height of the drug game in L.A. during the early 80s. And, you know, the gang situation had kind of got introduced to our neighborhood around my high school years. So all that came around and it was just easy to get caught up in it. You know, I never considered myself a full-fledged gang member, but I did claim my hood and ran with my homeboys. So whenever you was out at a game or at a football game or you went to a park, you know, it was always represented. You know, it was Crips where I grew up at. So whenever the funk jumped off, you know, a lot of times I got caught up in it, and that was just how it was. So, you know, my neighborhood was all Crips. Never wore red until I got to Cincinnati. So it was just a whole different lifestyle, man, especially back then, man, because everybody was, you know, gangbanging was at its peak
right
back then, man, and then just running around and getting caught up and stuff. Then the drugs came and, you know, it was I was just a young man trying to figure it out like everybody else. You know, never knew my dad, and my mom was on drugs at the same time. So I had a lot of freedom, and basketball came later for me, man. I didn't try out for basketball and make the team till my senior year. And the only reason that had happened because my junior year when I tried out, me and the coach got into it, and my mind was mostly set on kind of hanging and doing what I needed to do and not really on basketball. That was just like a hobby for me. But, you know, I would go to the games and some of my homeboys played on the team and they wanted me to play because at lunchtime and at the park, you know, I was hooping, but I never tried out for the team. And then I tried out my junior year and me and the coach got into it. So I ended up quitting that year. Then another coach came the next year. The coach that got into it got fired and a new coach came. And my homeboy told him about me, and he came and sat and talked to me, and he was just like, man, I want you to play for me. And that's what really changed my life, man. Coach Sims was more like a father. You know, I respected him based on his approach, and that's what made me go out and play, you know, based on how he approached. And he was a real coach. The coach before that, to me, he was a trip, man. He was a young cat and really was all about just trying to clown mostly, and I wasn't on that shit because I was making money and wasn't taking it serious. So
right.
When Coach Sims came, you know, he put that discipline down, but he also brought a whole different feel, you know, to the school, and I bought into it, man, and the rest was history. Shit, I ended up, I was the second leading scorer on that team and the leading rebounder. We went 18-7 and lost to the second round of the California tournament. And shit, the rest was history, man. I sat around after that, you know, wasn't no schools knocking down the door looking for Corie Blount. So, you know, I was chilling around the neighborhood, didn't even graduate that year, and was just chilling, man. And Coach Sims, you know, had heard some of the things I was doing in the community and told me, man, you need to go to college. Well, that time I didn't know. I thought if you wasn't going to D1, there wasn't no other, college. I didn't know nothing about junior college or Division I or Division II. And he told me he was taking another player to try out for these junior college teams, and he wanted me to go. So I ended up making the ride, man. We went down to Santa Ana Junior College. I was really going to help my homeboy get on the team, and I balled so well that my junior college coach was like, man, I want both of them. So I ended up going to Santa Ana Junior College, and the rest was history, man. My first 2 years. First year we won the championship, and the second year we won the championship. My second year I was the league player of the year, the conference player of the year, and California player of the year, and the national junior college player of the year.
Wow.
And then I went on to Cincinnati, and first year there we went to the Final Four, and second year finished in the Elite Eight and got drafted by the Bulls, homie. Well, that was my journey in a nutshell.
Tell me about Hugs, man. Tell me about your coach at Cincinnati.
Man, the funny thing about it, man, Hugs really didn't recruit me because like I said, I was a national junior college player, and I had verbally committed to go to Vegas. But he was after my homeboy. He was after Terry Nelson and Eric Martin. And in the summer, we used to all hoop together. And Coach Moeller, who was the assistant coach at the time, was coming to talk to Eric and Terry. And one day, he took them out to eat. And I was on my way to my car. And he said, you want to go eat with us? And I was like, yeah, So we all went ate, sitting there talking. And, Coach Mo was like, yeah, I heard you verbally committed to go to Vegas. And I was like, yeah, but I'm gonna take all my trips. So, I'm still kind of open in that sense. And he was just like, well, you ought to take a trip to Cincinnati. And I was like, where the hell is Cincinnati at? I ain't know nothing about no damn Cincinnati. And he was like, well, that's where Oscar Robertson played. I'm like, who the hell is Oscar Robertson? Shit, I didn't know who he was. So he tried to convince me about Cincinnati. I was like, nah, I'm cool. So Eric went and took the trip and came back and said, man, he had a ball. And that's when Hugs kind of came to visit Terry, and me and Terry was cool. So that same time he came to visit me. And, man, dude was so cool and laid back and shit. And I was like, man, I could probably play for this dude. But, I was getting recruited by Arizona State, UNLV, went to Tennessee, all these different other schools. So I didn't really know too much about Hugs and shit. He talked the talk like all of them did. And then he was my last trip. And I was just like, man, I'm going to take a trip. And when I came to the school, like I say, he was cool, man. I never heard a cuss word, none of that shit while he was recruiting me. I was that thing some sliced bread. I never forget he put these pennies on the fucking table and was just like, look, this is my style of offense. You won't be banging in the post. We run an open post offense where you be able to slash and cut and play on the perimeter a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I think I can dig this. And once Eric and Terry, we all got together and decided to go to the same school, shit, it was a wrap. So we got here, man, and that's when we really found out the truth, who this fool was, man. Hugs was a maniac. Shit, that's where to put it. Like, I got kicked out of. Everybody got kicked out of practice, but it had got to a point with me, man. I had to just tell him, like, look, bro. We had our little words, and I was like, I just went to his office, like, man, I don't think I'm going to do this. I grew up without no daddy, man, and realistically, I ain't used to no white man talking to me this way without, some kind of repercussions behind it.
Right.
And he was like, well, that's how you really feel. And I'm like, yeah, man. I said, man, I'm doing everything you asked, and you still on my back, man. And, as soon as I get out there, you yelling and shit, man, it's hard for me to even want to feel like I can even hoop. And he was like, well, if you do what I tell you to do, you won't get that from me. And I'm like, man, I am doing what you told me to do. He said, see, that's the fucking problem right there. Oh, man. I'm like, what you mean that's the problem right there? He said, you think you playing hard. He said, motherfucker, you got a whole nother fucking level of basketball that you can do. He said, and if you listen to me, motherfucker, you'll be able to feed your family for the rest of your life. I was like, damn.
Hey,
that woke me up when that motherfucker said that. Like,
I ain't mad at that though, man. I mean, because now hindsight being 2020, thinking back on it, he was making some sense when he said that. I ain't mad at all.
Yeah, no doubt.
Dang,
no doubt. But I was young, man, didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And I just bought in after that. I said, you know what, man, I ain't gonna say shit. So he would get on me, man. I just wouldn't respond. It took me a while to build up to that. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you, because if we get in a fight, you think you can whoop me. That's the problem. You think you can whoop everybody. Oh my God. And then when you put them things on him the right way, and how you gonna win? You know what I mean? Done. You then put your hands on the coach, and he knew all that. So once you understood, like I always tell everybody, once I understood the method of his madness, man, I was able to just get through playing and take it to that next level I wanted to do.
Yeah. So fast forward from Cincinnati to you getting drafted by the Bulls, and then you playing there, experiencing Phil Jackson, and then you get to experience some of Michael Jordan when he was in the 4-5, right? That's a different Michael Jordan. Tell me about how it was to get drafted and play with those guys.
Well, for me, like coming out, it was predicting I was going to be a second round pick. Because everything, even the success I had, I had a little notoriety for being a forward / center that could run the floor, block shots, and defend. So they were pretty much saying that I was going to be a second round pick. And then my agent, who I had signed with at the time, Mark Barterstein, was telling me, look, if you go to all these workouts, you can increase your draft status. I think you can make it to the first round. And I was like, well, what I got to do? He said, you just got to go to all these workouts, and then you got to go to Portsmouth. Well, I didn't go to Portsmouth. I went to it was in Arizona at that time, the summer league or whatever it was called back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out there and balled out. Make a long story short, man, I balled out, and they were saying that I could possibly be a late first round pick. And at that time, the Bulls had the 25th pick. They had the 7th pick and the 25th pick. And after I got to playing in the summer league, Jerry Krause was like, I don't even want you to go to Portsmouth. He said, we're going to draft you. He said, but we want to keep it on the hush because we got the 7th pick, which we're going to get this kid from Croatia who we really like, and then we're going to save you for the 25th, but we don't want it to be known. I was like, all right, I'm cool with that. So I ended up, after he told me that, I still went and worked out for Boston, who had the 17th pick. And I killed out there. So I knew, I said, man, I'm supposed to go to 25th, but shit, I might get picked up by Boston based on the fact how well I played and the response they gave me. So I was feeling good. I didn't really tell nobody about it, except Hugs was the only person I communicated with as far as how things was going. So, draft night came, man. I was at Hugs' house, and Boston 17th pick came. They picked A.C. Earl, man. I remember I was pissed. Like, that big when he ran on the side of his feet. A.C. was a big old sloppy. Like, man, they picked A.C. Earl.
How long he lasted in the league? I ain't even never heard that name before.
Man, A.C. Earl lasted about 5 years, man. At that. And so I ended up getting drafted by the Bulls, man. And
Was Nick in that draft?
Who?
Nick.
Yeah, Nick ended up going in the second round. Nick was supposed to go in the first round, man. He was supposed to go to Charlotte at the 8th pick, but Nick at that time was, man, we had just got, like I said, man, we was the shit around Cincinnati, man. 2 years of basketball, we only lost 5 games, or 10 games, and went to the Elite Eight and the Final Four. So, man, we was throwing party. We was the men, you know what I'm saying? So, shit, Nick was like, man, I ain't going to all them damn workouts, man. They know what I could do. Shit. And I was like, well, nigga, you able to do that, but I got to get on my grind. So
yeah. Nick was cold, though, man. Nick was cold.
Oh, yeah, Nick was cold. But he ended up slipping to the 36th pick because he didn't go to none of the workouts.
Right, got it.
So we were both at Hug's house watching, as a matter of fact. And we got drafted. I got drafted by the Bulls, man. Couldn't really believe it, because nobody in my family, before I got to Cincinnati, like I said, I wasn't no prime. I wasn't no Eric Hicks where I was killing in high school and everybody knew my motherfucking name and shit. So I had to get mine late in the game and end up getting drafted by Chicago. And man, it was a trip, man. Getting there and, you know, meeting Scotty, meeting Horace. You know, Mike wasn't there. He came later in the summer after I got there. You know, but working out with Cartwright and Scott Williams, Stacey King, and all them dudes. You know, it was just a hell of a feeling. And then they signed me for, you know, I was a 25th pick, but I got one of the longest contracts ever for a 25th pick, which was a 6-year guaranteed contract for $6 million. So I was making $1 million a year at that time. You know, nigga coming from making $220 a year to $6 million was a hell of a.
Hey, what was the first thing you bought?
Man, honestly, to be honest, man, when I can tell you how I went. I went to I flew to Chicago and they gave me a signing bonus. They gave me $100,000 signing bonus. And the crazy thing, Jerry Krause was like, you know, we give you the signing bonus, but first thing we're gonna fly you to California. And I was like, y'all gonna fly me to California? He said, yeah, because you got some warrants you need to take care of. You got to leave tomorrow. Real talk, man. They told me I had to leave tomorrow. Like before I do anything else, I got to take this money and I got to go straight to Cali and take care of the warrants. And they had already arranged for me to see the judge. Man, I'll never forget that. I had $10,000 worth of warrants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So man, I went and took care of that. Then I went to my grandmother's, my brother, and you know, I just asked my grandmother what she wanted. The thing was, man, at that time, it was cool that I had signed for that much money, but you know, I'd already been having money, man. You know, as far as and he can contest to this. You know, you getting your Pell Grant money and your, you know, I took out student loan money too, so that was an extra $15,000 in my pocket. Oh yeah. So it wasn't like I was broke before I signed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got yeah. So give me like your first impression of playing with Horace, Scotty, and then when Mike showed up. You know, being able to see that up close. Was it any different from what you had seen on TV? You know, and what can you tell us that we probably can't see just from watching them on television?
Well, you know what? To be honest, homie, the thing that really kind of blew me away is before I even got to Chicago, I went to Pete Newell's big man camp, and that was they used to fly all the big men. Like if you got drafted, they flew you to Hawaii and you worked out. And this is before I came. This is before I came to Chicago to start working out with Scotty and them. So I went to this Pete Newell's big man camp, man, and I worked out with Sean Kemp, Shaq, Blotty Divac, Terry Cummings. Who else was there? The big fella, Buck Williams. You know, it was like 15 guys, man, that was beasts, you know what I'm saying? Shaq was there, you know, so I'm working out with these dudes and competing at a level where, you know, even they was giving me like, man, you can play, you know what I'm saying? Like, they was giving me props and, you know, you playing against that caliber of big man. When I left there, it was like, shit, you know, what else is there that, you know, I'm going to see that I can't compete with. So I felt like I could compete with anybody at that time. When I came back to work out with the guys in Chicago, shit, I was on top of my game, man. So we was, you know, intense battles, talking shit, hooping all summer long. We would work out at the Berto Center, and then I would go play in the summer league where guys like Juwan and all those guys from Chicago was hooping. Not Kevin Garnett, it was another guard, can't think of his name, but just it was always a good run. And Mike would show up every now and then. And I forget the first day he came. That's when I found out that Mike and Horace really didn't get along because, you know, I was on Mike's team and we was playing against Horace, and then when, you know, me and Horace going back at it, Mike was like, yeah, why this young fella here gonna take your motherfucking job, you bitch ass, you know. And Horace was like, fuck you, punk. You know, they started really going at it like that. So that was my first time seeing it at that level with them. And then that's when I saw how competitive Mike was, man. You know, whenever he would come, it would just, the level of hooping would just go up. Like, it was crazy because, you know, we already playing, but then when Mike come in the gym, you know, it would just take it to another level, man. And runs used to be amazing shit.
How everybody? What did he do to take it there though? Like, what would Mike say or do to raise everybody's, you know, competitive edge and take the games to a level where you saying is, you know, they going at each other like that?
Shit, just put his shoes on. He was Michael Jordan, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, he was considered the best in the world at that time. So that just used to be, man. Mike might come tomorrow, so, you know, we like, oh, we hooping tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? That's all it would take. And then when he would get out there, of course, he trying to go at everybody and hate, you know, everybody hated to lose, but he just had that ability to take it to that next level, man, with anything, just being in his presence, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, man, I'm getting ready to hoop now. I'm hooping with Mike too. Getting ready to get it today from somebody, shit.
So these are just some summer pickup games. This not even a team practice.
No, this is pickup, but it's like an organized pickup where, you know, most of the guys, pro level guys, is only hooping. Wasn't no guys off the street or nothing like that.
Got it.
You know, then we would go down in the South Side and hoop in this little gym where, like, all the players from Chicago that, you know, Tim Hardaway and all them guys would be hooping at. Right. And we would all go down there and hoop sometime too.
So, you play with Mike. Give me like the best story you can tell me about Mike. On the court. On the court. On the court.
On the court. I can tell you, I don't know if it's the best story, but I guess this is the time. I guess this when he found out I wasn't like everybody else, because I never forget, man. We was playing Seattle, and I think we was losing. I can't remember if we was losing but it was a shot took. I don't remember who took it, but I jumped up and got the rebound. So I got the rebound. I'm getting ready to go back up with it, and all I hear is Corie, and I hear Blunt, and I hear Blunt. So I'm going up. I'm thinking like, basically them niggas calling my name, like not to shoot the ball, you know what I'm saying? So I get up and come down with it and try to pass out, and the horn go off and shit. And Mike was like, what you doing? I was like, man, motherfucker, I was getting ready to finish it, and y'all start calling my name and shit. I didn't know what the fuck was up. And so they was like, "Oh, we was telling you to take it up." I'm like, man, you motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? So we got in the locker room and shit. I was hot as hell. I was like, man, that's why you motherfuckers calling my name every time I do something. I can't even fucking concentrate and shit. Mike was like, well, we was telling you to take the motherfucker up quick, because I said, man, I don't give a fuck. I was getting ready. You know, you act like I don't know how to play. You know, we going back and forth like that.
Right.
And then Phil came in there and was like, God damn it, you know, you should have did this. You should. I said, that's the fucking problem right there, man. Like, you motherfuckers have got me thinking too much instead of hooping. You know what I'm saying? And that's when Mike pulled me to the side after the game. Like, you gotta wait your turn, man. Your time is coming, man. But right now, you doing too much. And I'm like, he talked to me on that. Like, so that's probably about it with me, man. I was the thing about me, man. When I look back at it, I was a fool already, just talking crazy. But then when it came to competing, I never thought I was better than them niggas, but I knew I could compete with them.
Right.
So just on that alone, I wanted my respect. Shit.
Right.
Because I felt I can guard anybody, including him. Like, shit, you gonna get yours, but you ain't just finna kill me. I ain't finna let you punk me down here. So I carried that out throughout my whole career. That's what made me laugh. I only averaged 4.5 points. But the reason I was able to stick and play as long as I did, because wasn't nothing soft about me.
Right.
I competed at a high level, and when it came to hooping shit, I could hoop shit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was almost like the Bulls was looking for another Charles Oakley. I mean, because that's kind of what Oakley was doing for MJ, early. Being like somebody been enforcing down there that they could do that. So maybe they was trying to groom you for that. I'm not sure, but eventually you end up leaving, right?
Yeah, it wasn't really. I was more groomed to take Horace's spot.
Okay.
That's when I was coming out of college. They was comparing me to Horace Grant. Everybody used to say they except with a little more athleticism. Like I could jump off one and vertically. So I ain't never seen Horace take off one, and dunk on somebody. So I could jump off one and 2 feet. So I think that was more so just my ability to run the floor and play defense was mostly what they had drafted me on. But I ended up staying there 2 years, man, and was there both years when Mike came back, which was, man, the best time of my life. And just knowing that you getting ready to get to play with the best player in the world, it just took it to a whole nother level, man.
Yeah. How physically how close do you think Mike was to being himself when that first year he came back versus the year he came back after that? Well, was there a difference?
Yeah, I think Mike was probably about 30% of himself.
Wow. 30?
Yeah, I think he was 30, man. About 30. He was still trying to get his body and his mind, not his mind, I ain't gonna say his mind, but he was more so his skill set back to that high level of being able to compete at a high level in basketball. He was still, I ain't gonna say his mind was on baseball, but he still was trying to figure out how to get everything fluently coming back to play basketball to dominate like he did.
Mm. That makes sense. I mean, because basketball shape and baseball shape is two different things, right?
Yeah, and it's a different kind of training. The muscle memory and the things like that. Once you play ball, of course you can hoop, but once you take your game to another level and him being who he is, you best believe when it came to baseball, Mike was working on his game just like he worked on his game at basketball. Like, I mean, I saw the little documentaries where he would spend hours on top of hours on top of hours working on his fundamentals for baseball.
Yeah.
For just that little time he was there. So
he was all in. It wasn't like he was just in there just to take his mind off of things. He was all in on baseball.
Yeah, he was trying to be. He was literally trying to be the best baseball player in the world. He put in that much work.
Man, that's Mike for you, man. How did you feel watching that documentary, The Last Dance?
Oh, I thought it was cool. And that's the thing. I didn't experience that Mike that was showed there. When the Mike I experienced, he was still, the man, but he didn't really have an arrogance like that or displayed it like that because his game wasn't all the way there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He was still Mike, still famous, but I think, it had to humble him not winning, when he came back and going out the way he went out. But shit, that year after he went out, it was a wrap. Back in the push and grind mode.
Yeah. Look, they had to
start working on my shit.
Yeah, Corie, they had to eat him up to lose to Orlando. And do you remember Horace Grant getting that steal? Like I think Nick Anderson poked it out, and Horace Grant ended up finishing it to cap off the victory.
Yep.
That had to eat him up. Yep. That had to eat him up.
That ate him up. That ate Pip up. That ate BJ up. All them niggas was mad, man.
And Horace Grant was smiling.
Yeah, they was hot. Oh, and matter of fact, I do got a good Mike story. I just remember this. Well, they talked about it in the documentary about LeBradford Smith, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was one of the amazing stories. I forgot they talked about that.
That was the Wizards, right? Well, I'm not the Bullets.
LeBradford gave him LeBradford gave him like 45 or something like that.
Yeah, give me the inside scoop of what Mike was thinking after that game, because the way they talked about it on the documentary, it was just, they kind of breezed over it. Like, tell me what Mike was really saying.
Well, they went in Washington, man, and Man, he was a good player from Louisville. You know, he ain't never had reached that stardom, but that game he was killing Mike. I mean, just killing him. It was just one of them games, you know what I'm saying? Like, niggas was just on one. And after the game, you know, they lost. I mean, we lost, and then they said that he was like, the comments was, I guess he made the statement like, I feel when I'm on my game, can't nobody stop me. And it was on a back-to-back, so we played him in Chicago, and then in Washington. So the next day they had to come into Chicago. Mike was like, man, don't look for me to pass the ball. Don't look for nothing. I'm about to kill this nigga tomorrow. You know, so you hear that, you know, like somebody getting ready to kill. Like, I was there when he gave the Knicks 55. Like, I had never seen nothing like that before.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess when he was in one of them modes where they say he gave him like 45 before the third quarter or something crazy like that.
Good Lord. So he could turn it on like that whenever he wanted to?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, I can't say nothing but yeah, because I've seen it, man, multiple times. Like,
see, his
ability to just go hard, like,
right.
And his array of shots, and another thing, like, that I witnessed, the fact that you never really kind of acknowledge the hang time when somebody shoot a jump shot. Like, really, the hang time is totally different than somebody else shooting a jump shot.
Mm.
And his ability to stay in the air and adjust his shots and all that, man, it made a difference, man, when you're playing against this dude and trying to guard him, because it was just a different type of person you was trying to stay in front of or guard, because of the array of shots and his ability to get from point A to point B. And then not just that, his ability to finish on when he go into the basket. So
yeah,
that's what really separated it, man.
So
it was just unbelievable with that.
The thing that I admire about Mike is not only can he turn it on and say, I'm about to give you 50, he could also turn it on and say, you ain't getting nothing either. Like, you know, he was elite as a defender just as well as he was as a scorer. And so was Kobe Bryant, and you played with both of them. So give me like your comparisons and your, you know, and what's different about Mike and Kobe, and who do you think is better? And then you can just throw LeBron in there as well, because his name is always in there as well. Like, what separates those three players in your opinion?
No, I'm gonna take it through phases more so. Like, when Mike came and did what he did at the peak of his game, the NBA had just reached the pinnacle of being able to be marketed around the world. You know, it had never really had that exposure and that kind of marketing appeal that the game itself had like it did with Mike. Now, for us, it was Magic and Bird were the two headstones that was carrying the league and being marketed. But when Mike came, and Nike and the shoes and the persona and you know, just his whole thing, it just took Mike to a whole nother level. And then for him to be able to do what he did on the court just made it more like impressionable. So you get Mike, man, and there's no way you can kind of compare Mike to anybody else based on the fact that just that whole persona, man, and the championships and the way he dominated during his era, you know, he was Mike. Right. But no second guessing. Then you get this young cat that came along who basically personified everything that Mike had, but he had to get it from somewhere, so he took it from Mike.
Okay.
You know, Kobe didn't have the hands that Mike had. You know, that's the only limitation to Kobe's game that I compare to Mike, is that Kobe really couldn't palm that ball like Mike could.
Right.
But as far as intensity and willingness to try to dominate and definitely think nobody in the gym is better than him, you know, Kobe personified all that, man, at a young age. That's what I keep telling everybody. Like, I met this dude when he was 18, man, and they brought him to the summer league. And Jerry Russell, I never forget, Jerry Russell told me that the kid was coming and he wanted me to work him into the practice so he can learn our plays and stuff. And you know, the hype was there, but I hadn't witnessed it myself. And then we start hooping, and this dude just trying to bang on every time he gets it. He was trying to dunk on somebody. Just full of match mode. And I'm like, okay, I see. You know, I see the signs a little bit. Then the summer league came. He played in the first summer league because he came late. He played in the first summer league, and he had 36 points. So I remember I called my homeboys. I'm like, man, y'all need to come our next game. Man, I think I just seen the next Michael Jordan. That was my comments at the time.
Wow.
My people like, man, I think we got the next Michael Jordan. And they were like, who? I said, the young boy Corie. Like, he can't. I'm like, man, come to the game, man. Well, the next game, the place was sold out, point blank. Next game he played in, the place was sold out after he had 36. And, man, the rest of the summer league, you know, this cat averaged 36 the rest of the summer league.
That's crazy.
So
that's crazy.
I knew from then, like, man, this dude is he the truth. So now I'm playing with this guy, man, and then I see his work ethic is at an all-time high, man. Like, Kobe didn't want to go hang out and kick it. Kobe didn't want to do nothing but get in the gym and work on his game. And I spent a lot of time, like, I'd be coming in the gym to work off my partying from the night before.
Sweat out. I need to sweat this crown out.
Man, for sure. Yeah, that's what Dale Freaks told me that as soon as I hit LA. Like, if you're gonna be going out, you make sure you're the first person in the gym so you can get that alcohol out to the system. So I took heed to that. And, I just come in just to get me some shots up and break a sweat. Well, I come in there, Kobe already in there. Like, see, Blount, I'm glad you came, man. Check this out. Let me show you this move. You know, he done worked on some moves, or he's something he done seen. And he's like, nigga, I know if I can get this off you, ain't nobody my size gonna be able to stop me. You know, that's what he said, stuff like that. Like, so I'm like, yeah. I said, let's play. You know, we playing and working on stuff, and I'm done. He's still in there. It's just like, man, this dude is his willingness to just be the best was unreal. And even seeing at that time, man, he was just on a mission, man, and he made the comment like, man, I'm gonna be the best. I'm telling y'all, you know, man, you ain't finna do, you all right, man, but you ain't finna, you know, take it to that level, man. Ain't nobody riding with that, but nah, it was the truth. So I think between him and Mike, to me, them was the comparisons. Like I tell everybody, I know Mike did not do what Kobe did at the age of 18. I don't even know who Mike was at 18. So right. For Kobe to be at this level, playing at this high level of basketball, and I tell everybody, if he would have went to Cleveland or the Clippers instead of the Lakers that year, Kobe would average 20-something that year, his first year.
Yeah, he probably be further on the. My bad. Go ahead.
He got drafted by Charlotte. He came with us and they traded him. Remember that?
Yeah. But
I don't know how good that Charlotte team was, but I know if he would have went to one of them last place teams, I don't think Charlotte was that bad that year.
No, I think Charlotte made the playoffs because they had Glenn Rice. They didn't have him. They had Glenn Rice, and I think they had just picked up Anthony Mason, and I guess they felt like they didn't need. They wanted Vlade. They traded him for Vlade Divac, so they had a lineup of Vlade Divac.
They needed a big.
Yeah, Vlade Divac, Mason, and Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice made All-Star that year, so you know. But supposedly, they made the pick for LA. I don't know how true this is, but I watched a documentary called Soul Man. Did you see that, Corie?
Mm-mm.
Soul Man was about what's the older guy that got Nike and Michael Jordan hooked up. What's his name?
Oh, it wasn't Sonny Vaccaro. It was
Sonny. Sonny. It was Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny Vaccaro. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the documentary is about him. So pretty much what they were saying was he started a whole bunch of stuff with Nike.
I did see that. Matter of fact,
right.
I didn't know the name of it was Soul Man, but I did see that.
Yeah, Soul Man. So they said that Kobe Bryant, signed with Adidas because Adidas had just picked up Sonny. And Adidas was like, hey, do the same thing with Adidas that you did with Nike. And he was like, I know the perfect guy for you. He's just like Mike. And it was Kobe. And he was like the best kept secret because Jerry West had already seen him. He was on Jerry West's radar. And supposedly they put a whole bunch of false newspaper clips in the Philadelphia newspaper saying if Kobe gets drafted by Philly or these other teams that had the top picks, he's going to go overseas and play, which was believable because he grew up over there, right? But it wasn't true. That was Jerry West like masterminding some stuff. So he wanted teams to be scared to pick up Kobe. And that's why, all them dudes went ahead of him, Iverson, Kerry Kittles, Ray Allen and whatnot. And they had already made the deal with Charlotte for Vlade Divac for that pick. And it was like, we'll tell you who to pick right before the pick is about to come down. So Charlotte never was looking at Kobe, according to that documentary. It was the Lakers and Jerry West wanted him the whole time. And then right before that pick was going down, it was like, hey, pick Kobe Bryant. That's how it went down. It's believable. I don't know if it's true, though.
Yeah, I believe it was true. I believe it was true. Just based on the way it, for the chips to fall the way they did, I think they worked on that behind the scenes. And based on everything that I heard, that was Jerry's guy from the beginning. So. Yeah,
and Adidas had something to do with it, too, because Adidas said we can't market this dude in a small market. We need him to be somewhere like L.A. or New York. And so Adidas, not only did Jerry West want him, Adidas wanted him in L.A. too. So, but so take that, everything you said about Mike and Kobe, and then take it to LeBron James now. How does he compare?
I think LeBron is totally different from both of those guys. I compare LeBron more between a Magic Johnson and a Karl Malone. And now later in this game, it's almost like he got a little Reggie Miller with him, the way he's shooting that thing.
Yeah, he is shooting that rock, ain't he?
Oh man, from deep. So to me, LeBron, and I was here in Cincinnati, so I was able to witness LeBron's transition based on, being in Ohio a little bit and kind of hearing about this 9th and 10th grader. That was just killing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so being the best player in the 8th grade, being the best player in the 9th grade, being the best player in 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. So you kind of heard the buzz about him, and then you saw a little highlights, and you're like, man, dude is good. Well, then once he got to the pros, he got drafted by Cleveland, and that first year, you saw the sign, like he was just a hell of an athlete to me at that time. That's pretty much what I saw. He was able to get where he needed to go, could take off from anywhere, but jump shot and all that wasn't all that impressive back then. He was just a real smooth, dominant, smooth, aggressive player. And as the years go on, you witness this dude do what he did, and now how do you not include him in that best ever best ever player to play the game based off what he's accomplished and the level that he did it at and the consistency that he did it at.
Yeah, and how long he did it too.
Man, and I don't think, for someone to go into their 17 years and still able to compete at a high level and dominate at a high level, it's hard for me to not say he's not going to end up being the best that ever played.
Well, he's 35. I mean, Mike did some amazing stuff at 35 too.
But he's 35 on his 17th year.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely got the perfect perspective. Yeah, you got the perfect perspective of growing, coming up in Cincinnati. Well, not growing up there, but playing college ball there and being there to see and hear some of this stuff about LeBron and being able to play with Kobe and Mike. You got to. I mean, I'm gonna defer to you all day on your perspective with that. Personally, for me though, I got him at number 4 greatest all time I've ever seen. I got Magic, Kareem, and Kobe 1, 2, and 3, and then LeBron right behind.
You got Magic?
No, not Magic. Michael, Kareem, and Kobe. My bad. Michael, Kareem, and Kobe.
Yeah, I got
Yeah. My bad. Michael, Kareem, and Kobe 1, 2, and 3, and LeBron at 4. And I think as far as playing on the court, I prefer Kobe's game because of what he can do as a scorer in so many different ways. His footwork is not robotic. It's all fluent. His jump shot, his mid range, his three, his handle, like he got it all offensively and defensively. He was just as fierce as Mike was defensively as well. And I think those are the most important things on the court. Can you stop somebody and can you score at will? And for LeBron, I think it's either in the paint or the three. The mid range is lost. The post is not there where he can rely on it. He can do it now, but you tend to go back to your natural thing when the game is on the line. His natural thing is passing and getting to the rim. Not much of a free throw shooter. Things like that kind of takes away, and then his resume has been kind of doctored up where he has to jump from team to team and then handpick his quote unquote Scottie Pippen. He gets a new one every 3 years. He gets a new Scottie Pippen every 3 or 4 years. D-Wade knees go bad. He leaves him and gets Kyrie. Kyrie don't want to play with him no more. He leaves him and get AD. So he gets a new Scottie Pippen, and it's always a younger guy that he gets to. I think the storyline in his resume takes a little bit of hit because of that when compared to only Kobe and Mike. But everybody else don't stand a chance. So I got him at number 4.
I want to ask you a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So, what is the most dominant big man you played against?
Oh, by far, Shaq. Hands down.
How many bad boys you see him break?
Man, at least 3 of them. Yeah, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Dude was the most dynamic big man as far as with the abilities to move, to be explosive, and to react. Nobody that size been able to do what Shaq has done.
Yeah.
I didn't play against Wilt. I didn't play against Bill Russell or Kareem.
What about Hakeem?
When it came to Duncan, Hakeem was nice. Hakeem was nice.
Yeah.
But I just think Shaq was the best, man. In my era. I can't, I'm only speaking on my era.
Yeah.
When it came to just physical dominance in that paint and finishing with power, and that's what I used to like. Like me and him used to always like when he got to the Lakers, whenever me or him would dunk, we would always tell each other knees up, like nigga, let everybody know who on the rim, but like knees up on their ass. So that's what I used to tell I got doing that, like knees up. He used to dunk that thing like that. And that's where I got it from, just us. Whenever one of us get a dunk, we try to pull our knees up on the rim. So,
bro, I seen Shaq show. I think he was on IG talking to Kevin Hart, and he put the camera on his feet. Shaq got the worst feet I've ever seen in my life, man. And I know he had that bad toe injury. He left Orlando. I think he was playing in Orlando at about 320. And it was cut up. He didn't have a lot of body fat. It was a different 320. He might have been like 305 maybe in Orlando. When he got to LA, he turned into the Diesel. Like he was huge.
It's different living in LA than Orlando.
Yeah, man.
Bro, why did he put on what did he do to put all that weight on? And do you think that kind of is why he had that toe issue?
Well, you gotta realize age, man. The dude he was aging. We all change once we age a little. Based on his makeup, he wasn't gonna be ripped in that Shaq for too long, as big as he was. You know what I mean? It was that he was getting older, and then by not working out as much as he was and doing everything else in LA from doing videos to commercials to charity even. Like, that's one thing about Shaq, man. One of the most phenomenal charitable dudes I've ever played with. Like, I've seen him do so much for people, man, that it's unreal how many people this dude done helped. And I was there to witness it. I went with him a few times. A lot of stuff he did, a lot of people don't even know, and a lot of families he helped that he didn't even want no exposure for. He just did it because that's just the type of dude he was, and he could do it. Like, he did a lot for a lot of people in LA and for disadvantaged people. And, you know, all that stuff, man, that takes your time. You know, that takes your time away from the game. It takes your time away from the gym. And that's what Kobe didn't have. You wasn't taking Kobe from the gym. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I always liked that about Shaq. I always liked that about Shaq. That's why I felt bad for him when Dame Lillard did him like he did on Wax, man. It was kind of, you know, Dame shouldn't have done that, man, like that.
Only reason Dame got that off because Biggie wasn't around to ghostwrite for Shaq. That's why.
Hey, Dame. No. Hey, when I first heard Shaq stuff, I was like, okay, Shaq is pretty good. Then I heard Dame, I was like, oh Lord, man, golly, no, don't do him like that, man. That was pretty dope, though.
Mm-hmm. How many teams did you end up playing for in the league back home?
Man, I played for 7. Started with Chicago. Went from Chicago to L.A. Went from L.A. to Cleveland. Went from Cleveland to Phoenix. Went from Phoenix to Golden State. Left Golden State. Went to Chicago. Then Chicago to Toronto.
Dang.
And then I ended up going back to L.A. to finish it up.
Let me ask you a personal question before we get out. We coming up on the hour, man. I don't want to hold you too long, Corie. We got about 5 minutes before we hit the hour, but just a personal question, right? You did a year bid, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me about that? Like, you know, what was that like? What did you learn? What was going through your mind on how you was involved and what you was involved in? Like, tell me whatever you can tell me about that part.
Well, you know, I guess I kind of explained to you where I grew up at and my environment, and I've never changed. You know, I was always one of the cats that kept it 100 with my homies and my friends so you know, it never really was. I never thought from any perspective I was better than anybody, especially when it came to my homies, and I knew what they were into. So it was more so with me, just like I was, you know, gang banging, you know, semi-gang banging. If they got in a fight, you know, and something went down, by me being involved, of course, I was going to be caught up in it.
Right.
And it was the same thing with this, man, at the time. You know, I had just retired. You know, I had started in real estate. I had owned almost, like, I would say close to $6 million worth of property in LA. I had came to Cincinnati. I bought a sports bar, so I had my real estate company, sports bar, and I also had a video production company that I was doing some documentaries. So I was just all over the place, man, trying to figure out my next move. And then at the last minute, got the opportunity to coach at the University of Cincinnati. So, you know, I was doing a lot, man, and really wasn't able to really kind of stay focused on things and doing everything I was involved with. I was just all over the place, man, living fast and doing what I wanted to do at the time, but based on my situation. So I, you know, let me say this, and this is the honest God truth. My whole 4 years of high school and my whole 4 years of college, I never smoked weed. I never had a desire to smoke it. You know, and I think it stemmed from, all my homeboys smoked. You know, I would drink, and I just never took weed as something I wanted to do based on, you know, my mom being addicted to drugs.
Right.
So it wasn't until I got to the pros where I started smoking weed, like, you know, really started blowing shit. And so, you know, based on my connections and who I knew, man, when it came to getting some bud, I was always able to call my homeboys from LA. You know, I'm here in Cincinnati. Well, I had went home. You know, one of my partners had a party, man, and went home, kicked it, and ran into some dudes who kind of ran that part of the game, and they was just like, bro, whatever you need, we got you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, man. Well, you know, man, I do need some buds, you know, man. So shoot me a little something. So I ended up getting a little weed sent out to me, and the day it came, one of my partners out here was like, man, you can get this out here? I'm like, yeah, I got people, man. You know, whatever you need. Make a long story short, I ended up turning him on to my people. And he ended up getting caught up. And make a long story short, he threw my name in the mix. And so once he threw my name in the mix, it was almost, I ain't gonna say it was a setup, because I knew what I was doing. Nobody had no pistol to my head or nothing. But when I considered myself helping him, I was really willing to do it by allowing him to send a lot of the weed to some of my rental properties.
Got it.
Well, he sent one of the packages of weed to my grandmother's house. And she called me and said it was a package there for me. I'm like, man, ain't no package there for me. You know, I knew it wasn't no package there for me, so I knew something was up automatically. So when I drove around to our house, you know, I went in there and, you know, I saw the package and I saw it had somebody's name on it. I'm like, oh, man. So I'm calling this dude, you know, say his name. I'm calling him like, what's up? You know, man, you know, what's going on? He ain't answering the phone, so I automatically thought he done got popped. And I knew, you know, how you just, like they say, your spider senses start tingling.
Yeah.
Okay, Dennis.
Yeah, I knew something was up. And so as soon as I told my grandma, like, well, I'll take care of this. I'm going to take this, you know, I told her I'm going to take this back to the post office. And as soon as I walked outside, my daughter was getting off the bus. And she was like, am I staying at grandma's or am I going with you? And I was like, nah, you're going to stay with grandma. She started crying, oh, my God. So I just said, all right, come on, get in the car, because I'm seriously thinking about taking this package. I swear to God, taking this package back to the post office, because I knew something wasn't right. And man, as soon as she got in the car and I pulled off, I bought my grandmother a house like 2 blocks from me. So as soon as I pulled off and hit the corner, they just swooped on us. And one of the officers was like, go to your house, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit. So I was just like, hey man, my daughter in the car. They're like, we know, go to your house, go to your house. So they end up following me to my house, and make a long story short, they say they had been watching me for the last 2 weeks. And he had already left a couple packages at my house already. So that's how it all went down, man. They found the other 2 boxes, and in that box, and you know, they were basically trying to get me to tell on whose it was, and I'm just like, man, I don't know whose it is. Like, man, I was just, you know, I just had me a little weed coming for a party, and this all took place like this, man. So I ended up biting a bullet on that, in that sense, man, just based on not willing to cooperate with them point blank, you know. So when I didn't cooperate, I knew I'm a criminal justice major, so I knew I was guilty of possession. I didn't package nothing. I didn't transport nothing. I didn't, you know, get no capital gains from it. You know, at that time, I was making enough money, had enough businesses to show that none of my property or anything I own came from the selling of drugs.
Right.
So that right there kind of helped me out. And then, once they saw some of the things I had, like part of my plea was to give up my grandfather's gun collection, two of my cars, and one of my trucks, and the cash that they found at my house for a reduced sentence. And I'm like, run that shit. I'll take that. So that's how I ended up doing 1 year and 10 days in prison, based on that move right there.
So what's next for you? You plan on getting back into coaching, or what are you doing now?
Well, man, that's the thing. Like, when I went through all that, man, it gave me a chance to really just focus, man. And, you know, I was a little distraught because of the fact that I had lost pretty much everything. I had worked my ass off, man. Sitting in the pen, man, you know, it gave me a time to just have a flashback of my life. And I look at, you know, my childhood coming from nothing, and then you got opportunity to play ball and taking it to the highest level. Then I went back to school to get my degree, so I was the first one in my family to ever not just attend a 4-year school, but graduate from a 4-year school. And that was coming from my great-grandmother. So she told me, you know, she know all my generation before and everybody to the present. And she told me that she know for a fact I was the only one to ever get an opportunity to go to college. So, you know, all that made me just think about my life and, man, what I accomplished. And, you know, I knew I had broke a generational curse in my family as far as not having a degree. So when I came home, man, I just started focusing on, like, promoting education, man, and trying to help people see the value of education. And I ended up doing a deal with the University of Cincinnati to do some shirts that said, had to graduate a Bearcat. And then from that, I started a company called Graduate, where, you know, I raised money and gave scholarships to and promoting education through this brand that we're working on. And that's the name of my company, called Graduate Inc., where we acknowledge and inspire academic achievement, man. And, you know, that's what the shirts is mostly just a reference point of just saying, man, there's a value in education. You know, even though a lot of us aren't mentally prepared or promoted to buy into it, the thing that college will do is kind of level the playing field. So, you know, that's one thing. My company is Graduate. And so I got that, my promotional products company and my apparel company. And then I bought a Happy's Pizza last year right here in Cincinnati. So I got a pizza place where we serve the finest chicken and ribs and pizza in the world. Right,
no, we going there eating free.
Look, Corie, I ain't gonna do you like Eric. I'm gonna go ahead and pay. I'm gonna pay for mine, man.
I'm going free.
Hey. Nah, you know, I don't mind. I mean, it's like I tell everybody, you get your one in. Get your
the first one free. Okay, bet. The first one, yeah.
Night.
Yeah.
I'll take the first one for free. I'll pay for the rest of them after that, though.
Man, no doubt. So, you know, that's about it, man. Raising my kids, man.
I would like to say this, though, before we get off. My senior year was the best year when Corie was coaching. Like, I had fun with Hugs and all them, but just having Corie, because Ruben Patterson, all of them used to come back. And remember how when y'all used to come back, Ruben, Andrew Kirby, stop it. Andrew Kirby, stop it. And I got to play against him, so I'm like, because remember, me and Rube used to go at it sometimes, like, Rube. But I'm like kind of like what you said when MJ came in. They go, Rube. I mean, like, he did do good against Kobe. And too many people did do that. Mm-hmm. But when Corie was on the coaching staff, man, it was just fun. Like, he showed you that the money you could get, like, pretty much like, yeah, man, like, we'll go out here, like, I don't worry about it. I got it. And that's when you'd be like, dang, I really do need to focus and get in this gym so I can get that money too.
Yeah, but it wasn't even about the money, man. Let me say this before I go too, man. Because I'd be remiss not to talk about this other dude that's on the phone. Man, the only reason Hugs asked me to come back was because of Eric Hicks. And that's the honest to God truth, man. Because this is the year Hugs got fired. And he called me and was like, man, I still got some guys there that I know that will respect you. And with your ability to relate to these dudes, it'll be a good thing for not just you, but it'll be a good thing for those guys too. So at that time, man, the headstone of the team was Eric, man. Eric was the leader of that team. And, you know, even though I thought he reminded me of me, but he was, and I say this as real as possible, I thought I was real. Eric Hicks was, if I was 100% real, Eric Hicks was 120% real. Straight up, like, man, I loved his attitude. I loved his approach to the game. And what I tell everybody the most, man, the dude basketball IQ was off the charts. That's what a lot of people don't know, man. This dude basketball IQ is off the charts as far as his ability to know what to do, when to do it, timing. I mean, he used to know the other team's plays, what their strengths and weaknesses was, and I used to be like, man, this dude, he got that gift and that knack, and then his ability to compete at a high level. I was a fan. Like, he was my favorite Bearcat, and I enjoyed coaching him. And, you know, I just say, man, that was I only coached there that 1 year, but if it wasn't for Eric, it wouldn't have been as enjoyable as it was based on.
Dunk and pull my D's up all the time. Like, if you look at some of my videos from my senior year, my knees are trying to hit the bottom of the backboard.
Man. Yeah.
That's dope, man. I like that, man.
I guess the statute of limitation is done now because it's been a while. But if I dunked or did something like that, I'm getting $200.
Oh, yeah.
200 real. Statute of limitation is up now, so, you know, I'm ducking, pulling my knees. I'm like,
knees up.
Then I'm like, in the off season, I like to say this, the club he had with me in there, man. I used to love that, man. I'm walking in there, I'm thinking, I'm like what he was talking about with Nick Van Exel and them. I'm thinking I'm MJ myself. I'm walking in there, I got Moet, Chris Style, my table. I got a big chain on, gold teeth.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
They be like, Blunt, your boy in there, Benny Bonds, man. Let him get it. Let him get what he wants.
Boy, y'all probably, I can see y'all now up there acting the fool, boy. What was it? Man. Was it a lot of sisters up there, or was it snowing?
It was both. It's 50-50. And my club was more 75. All black, mostly black. My club.
I used to bring snow in there.
Yeah, you used to bring a little salt in there every now and then.
Make everybody jealous. I was good at that.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all stupid, man. That's crazy.
Let me ask y'all this, man. I mean, because you a childhood friend, and you know, you've been following. I'm sure you follow his career also. At 6'6", man, the way he dominated in one of the toughest conferences in America, did you see that in him coming out of where y'all from, or during his high school year? Did you see that, him being able to take it to that level?
Yeah, I expected him to go pro, to be honest with you. So, because for one thing, so we had a couple of schools in Greensboro where you could get some exposure. And I think it's Greensboro Day. They was pretty good at it. And Dudley. Dudley is what Brandon Haywood came up out of. You know, Vincent Witt was like, he went D1, to Clemson. He was okay. PJ Harrison came out of Dudley. It was a lot of people. It's a lot of people that come out of Dudley. And so after Haywood went, and here comes Eric right behind him, he was putting people in the rim. And I was like, I mean, who don't want that? He got long arms. He can jump out the gym. He's strong. He's dedicated to the weight room. And he was putting people in the rim and playing defense. So I was like, man, that's go translate to college, and let's go translate to the pros. So I was expecting him to go pro.
Right.
So I wasn't surprised by nothing. I would not, to be honest with you, I wasn't surprised. Now maybe him, having an all-time shot block record at Cincinnati, maybe I was like, wow, because you got, of course, had you going there, Kenya Martin going there. It's some shot blockers that went there, Max Seal.
Yeah.
So for him to have that record, that might have been surprising a little bit, but yeah, man, I knew he was a dog.
Appreciate it, Melvin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that ain't even receptible to play now like that, or have those type of guys like that. It just doesn't. It's not got watered down now, man.
Yeah.
Like I could teams would come in, tell them I should start a fight and warm up. Like I take their ball, like their ball used to come out, throw it in the bleachers or something.
Hey, man, I would pay money to have our huddles during the timeout recorded. AK, me, and Eric Hicks. And
you forgot about Frank.
And Frank.
South Carolina head coach.
Oh, my God, man.
Oh. We spent more time arguing than anything. Like, Melvin, we in there. Man, fuck this shit, man. I want to go pro too. Give me the goddamn ball. Man, all you got to do is go right there. Get him up. Then Corie, like, get him up. AK, like, well, fuck it, then. You can take the goddamn ball. Put it in the bag. Shit. There go the play. Get Eric the fucking ball.
Oh, man.
So that's why.
Devin, like, you motherfucker, if you take that ball that way and don't come this way, I'm gonna beat your ass after the game.
You remember little Devin Downey that played at South Carolina? I don't know if you remember him though, but yeah, man, because he ain't gonna go. Yeah, Google him. He beat Kentucky. He beat Kentucky by himself.
Oh,
when they had John Wall.
Oh wow, yeah, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, definitely nice.
What they gonna do? Run it to the other side and give it to Cedric? Come on, dog. I mean, like, let's be real. Now, if you get to James, I ain't gonna argue too much. You know, but what else you gonna do? You gonna get Ronald Allen?
Yeah,
like,
James.
I mean, no offense.
James was a little bit of help, man. He was a transfer from Florida, though, right?
Yeah, no, James was nice.
James was good.
Yeah, he was all right.
James was good. It's just that he was a little frail. I mean, but he was skilled. But the thing is, I needed another Max Hill with me. Max had me.
Yeah.
That's why Corie used to be like, "Hey, homie, you got to do it all on yourself now."
on you, big brother. I need a double-double, or we ain't got a chance in hell of winning it. We a double-double.
I get a double-double. I get $200, and we'll be walking in the mall, and he'll buy me whatever I want. Statute of limitations up, so it doesn't matter. I walk in the mall, and I see like this new what's the little iPad things or whatever it was. He'd be like, "You want that?" And it'll be like $400. I'll be like, "Man, I can't afford that." He'd be like, "Man, don't say nothing. Do you want it? I asked you a question." I'll be like, "Yeah." Next thing you know, I got it.
So Corie was really looking out for you while you was out there, huh?
What'd you say?
Corie was really looking out for you while you was out there, huh?
Man,
I love that was my little brother. I was his coach, but he was more like I admired how hard that dude played, man. And I figured he was, it's almost like when you coaching and you got that star player, you figuring that they playing that hard for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
you tell me what to do. You tell me what to do, and I have to go do it. If I didn't, you'll be like, man. And I was so scared to disappoint him because you got to look at all the legends he played with. We ain't even talk about Iverson. I mean, but the basketball knowledge that Corie has, and he tell you to do something, and that's where you're trying to get to. You'll listen to somebody like that got your genuine interest at hand.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
All right.
Like, you got a 12-year vet telling you what to do, and you know what I'm saying, like, how to get there. I mean, you're going to listen. If not, you're retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we would have made it to the tournament, man, I think his chances of getting drafted would have been higher.
That's all it was.
Falling short the way we went out kind of hurt everybody, man.
Yeah.
That's dirty, man. That year we lost a total, what AK say, 15 players and coaches. That year was a roller coaster. It was us versus the world, for real, man. 15 players and coaches in one season.
Well, it was a violation?
No, it was just people getting in trouble, man.
Oh, okay.
Our leader got fired for one thing.
Right. Yeah. Why did he get fired?
Drinking.
You see the video?
No. So look. I have like a small gap in my sports knowledge because of the military. Sometimes I'll be gone. Yeah, like the last 3 years in Japan. Different time zone. Like I can't get up on Monday morning. Yeah. Right, to watch Sunday evening football. Like it's Monday morning when I'm in Guam in Japan trying to watch football. I'm supposed to be at work, so I miss a gang of years just being like that. Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Hug.
They had him on video, fucked up, staggering, pulled him over.
Yeah, he got a DUI.
Yeah, he got DUI.
I mean, you can come back from that in college. You ain't got to fire him.
Well, no, the thing was, it had been a couple before that they never let out the box. Finally, they just got frustrated with it. Like, look, he ain't gonna learn his lesson. He ain't gonna change shit.
Yeah.
We had a team full of Listen, man. Last year, when you went in, you ain't know if somebody got in trouble or what happened. It was just like, let's see who show up. Hopefully we don't read. Hopefully we don't see nothing on TV. But it was the best year because everybody was, for the most part, everybody was pretty much real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the only thing that helped us because we had to hold on to each other. That's it. Like, that's all we had.
Yeah.
Think about it. You got assistant coaches that don't even know if they're going to get a job, waiting on Hugs to see what he going to do, but they want to become head coaches. You got me trying to get to the league. You got James trying to get to the league. And then, like, you got other guys that just happen to be on the team that think they better than what they are. Like, it was crazy. When I say crazy situation, I mean, it was crazy, but it was so fun. Like, because I was already, like, basically, like, my muscle memory and everything, I knew what practice was going to be. Practice became easy. And then, Corie, remember half the time I didn't practice hard either. Hugs called me the worst practice player he ever had in his life. And I told Hugs, wow, I'm proud because I finished number 1 in one of your categories. Because you know how hard it is for Hugs to say something nice. And Hugs ain't no small guy. He's a big guy. He's really like my size.
I don't want no navy blue.
Yeah. But, man, like I said, that was like practice. I'll be like, man, I'll work on what I need to work on. If Big Homie seen something I need to work on, he'd be like, well, Big Homie scored. If he was like, hey, man, you might need to fire the boys up today because it's going to be a tough one right here. So then
not just that, we couldn't have you doing too much in practice knowing we needed you. If E. Hicks got in foul trouble or any kind of injury, man, our season would have been done that year. Point blank. Like, we ain't had no backup for him at all.
Wow.
Remember I almost broke my ankle against Marquette, and then I had to play against UConn, and they was number 1 in the nation. Man.
Yeah.
That's
like
crazy.
My ankle was swole up like a grapefruit. And I had to go to the training room and just put stem on it. And they was just like, he's like, Melvin, you should have saw the treatment. They like, go ahead and get it fixed, man. There ain't no option for you not to play. I'm like, huh? Go ahead and put some stem, ice, because remember, you showed him how to massage it out and all that stuff came out.
Get that fluid out of there.
Oh, my God. He came in with some NBA trick. Like some old NBA. You could tell they be doing stuff crazy in the NBA, no, because it was so swole up. He told me to elevate it. He said, this gonna hurt. And he pushed all
that fluid out of there.
All the fluid out, and the fluid went up to, like, my shin. And he was like, man, tape it. Now, I lie to you not.
Mm-hmm.
Old NBA trick. And then he said, tape it. When he taped it, the fluid couldn't get back in there because they taped it tight. I was like, man, what in the world? All the fluid, I'm telling you, picture your ankle like a grapefruit. He tell you to lift it. He massaged it real hard and pushed the fluid up into my leg and then told the trainer to take my ankle real quick. I'll never forget that. So then I just got all this fluid and he was like, yeah, you got to keep it elevated. I'll holler at you, little homie. I'm sitting right here looking at my leg. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, we got some stories, man. Like, that year was phenomenal, Melvin. Like I'm telling you, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. The only thing I wish Jerry McNamara wouldn't hit that shot.
Yeah. And he was on one that whole tournament though. That last year.
Started with us.
Who that?
Jerry McNamara. Remember he hit the shot at Madison Square Garden, that lefty shot that Cedric messed up.
Yeah. We had their ass too.
Yeah, he had a good little run though. Well, all right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and let Corie go, man. I done held him up 1 hour and 24 minutes now, man. I sure appreciate this, Corie and Eric, man, for y'all stopping by to do this for my little audience, and hopefully I can get another one. We can do this again, especially when basketball season come back around. Talk to
man,
y'all about
shout out
stuff.
to all my people in and Smith Holmes, man. And tell them I love them, man. One love to see my people Smith Holmes. You know what I'm saying?
Hey Corie, when I go home,
he said, "What's up,
bro?" When I come home, man, I won't even go nowhere near Smith Holmes, man.
Hey, me either, dog. I don't even go home,
bro. Yeah, man. Look, it's so, bro. Look, just riding by, cause I take that path to go to the mall.
I go through. It's still up.
It's up. It's just bad.
It's bad, bro. It's bad, but they about to tear it down though, Eric. You know that?
That's what I figured.
That's what they always do. They tear it down and get all the real criminals out and rebuild it, and don't let certain people back in.
Nah. I don't know if this is true, but supposedly one of the colleges bought that land.
UNCG.
One of them. I don't know which one. Maybe UNCG. Maybe Greensboro. I don't know which one. But they bought it and they're gonna tear it down, and I don't know if they're gonna build a campus there. I don't know. But
UNCG is UNCG. I think
it might be. But yeah, they need to tear that thing down, man. They probably go find some bodies too. Maybe little Eddie. maybe they find little Eddie. All right, thank you for joining us, man. Corie, I appreciate you, brother. Eric, man, I'll talk to you later, bro.
All right, for sure.
All right, peace.